baby. We're back. Your boy, the nonprofit sector connector. I don't know why I feel like saying El Nino. I call myself sometimes I say El Nino, like the kid. So the boy is back. Your boy is back. The nonprofit sector connector coming at you 2 flights up from the kitchen where I got these 2 cups of coffee. 2 flights up just below the roof in my attic. That's right. In the attic, top of the house, the whole deal. That's where we do philanthropy and focus. And that's where the nonprofit sector connector hides out. I don't know if I'm hiding out, but that's where I hail from. So I hang out here. I make incredible connections for people. And we do 2 things on philanthropy and focus. We help nonprofit executive leaders tell their story and amplify their message. And that's what it's all about. 100, I checked it this morning. This is episode number 147 of Just an Idea. I think I've told you this on the program before. Man, woman, child, if you want to do the thing, just lean in and do the thing. Give it a shot, man. I went around talking about philanthropy and focus as a thing for 2 years before there was ever an episode. And now I'm on a plan to do many, many, many episodes because there are so many nonprofits doing incredible work on the scene, on location. Talk about on location. Funny I should say that word because we are, well, I'm not. I'm in the attic. But the folks that I'm interviewing are on location. Beth Buckheister, Michael Tedisco are my first 2 guests. First 2 guests, Tommy. Usually interview 1, maybe 2 people. No. This is a big one. This is like it's like a relay race, everybody. You know, somebody comes in, they talk to Tommy D, they pass the baton to the next person, and they come in. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. Hold on to your seats, everybody, because we're going to be fired up. Beth Buckheister, my friend, founder of Career Day, Inc. I miss you. I love you. I see you. I hope you're well. I hope to see you later today. What is going on? How are you?
I'm great, Tom. Thank you for having me for the second time on Philanthropy and Focus.
That's right.
We are at Roslyn High School in Roslyn, New York, in Nassau County, and we are being hosted by the school to speak to 1,200 students. We have over 50 professionals who gave up their time, who came in today. This is my friend Michael Tedisco from Apprenticeship Connections. Just want to remind everybody what Career Day Inc. is. Please say Career Day Inc. when you're referring to us, because we are so different than any other Career Day program. And I've just gotten so many accolades today from people who've come to observe. They said, we didn't know what it could be like. I wish this was in my school when I was growing up. Could you come to my child's school? I'm going to introduce you. And we've just gotten so much really good responses from everybody. The program began, as you know, Tom, out of a tragedy when my husband was killed in 2003 and my daughters were in high school. So what do? You know, you become vigilant, you become sad, you crawl under the blankets, and which I did all of those things. And then after a while, we said, what are we going to do now? And how do we keep Ari's memory alive? And he was the kind of guy who just said, do something. I don't care what you do. Just make sure you do something. And it's not who you know, it's how many people you know. So that's really what we've become. You're the professional network who inspires so many, networker.
Wow.
And you and Christine and Ed and all the people that we've gotten to know have really helped to lead me and inspire me. And so now we're at another great school offering another scholarship to a student who appreciates what we brought them today. And it's just going to be an awesome day.
I love it. I never met Ari. I wish I did. I feel like we would have got along real well. I got to stop. I'm getting emotional. Let's just move on because I don't want to get mushy this early in the show. No big deal. Just changing the world. That's what I always say. No big deal. Just changing the world. That's tongue in cheek. It is a big deal, right? The people that I meet with, like Beth, that are changing the world, the people that I meet with that found organizations out of tragedy, out of challenges. And I mean, I think of our own family foundation in memory of my cousin Linda, the Lindy Lou Foundation. I think we'd much rather if Linda was with us, but the impact in Linda's legacy that is made for so many nonprofit organizations serving the intellectually and developmentally disabled population. Talk Horse Ability, you talk about Spirit of Huntington Arts Center, Swim Strong, all these organizations that serve the IDD population. But that's what it is as a legacy and in memory. So Beth, I appreciate you being a change maker. And if it wasn't for the community of nonprofit leaders, specifically here locally on Long Island, it is such an uplifting community of people who are always looking out for each other. So you got this guy, this handsome fella sitting next to you who I've never met. And you're like, how do you guys not know each other? Well, because you hadn't connected us yet, Beth. So now we do, or we will. Michael, I pulled up the website for your organization. You're one of the speakers today. Is that right?
That is correct.
So Apprenticeship Connections and Consulting. My favorite, well, I don't know if it's my favorite word, definitely top 5 words is connector, connections, strategic, alliance. I love all that stuff. Can you tell me how'd you meet Beth? What brings you to Career Day, and what are you talking about when you meet with the young people?
Oh, so many questions right there. And by the way, pleasure meeting you. Heard some great things about you, and I hope I see you again.
You will.
I don't remember the exact date and time that I met Beth, but Beth and I definitely are in the same circles because our passion and our vision definitely overlines, and that is why I'm here today, right? Because apprenticeship programs is my favorite world. You like connection, but I like apprenticeship programs. And the thing is, no one in the state of New York or the United States really even know what apprenticeship programs are. So I need to educate.
Yeah.
I need to educate employers, but I also need to educate the people going into the workforce so they can start demanding these things because apprenticeship programs truly allow the opportunity of a career growth and career day,
Yeah.
career growth.
So let me ask you something, because I'm going to ask you a million questions. That's kind of what I do. So here's what I want to understand now. So I had friends when we were growing up. I used to be a bartender, which probably shocks a lot of people. But I used to attend bar, and I would have friends that were going into local 3, or they were going to be a stonemason or a bricklayer, and they would go into all the locals. And that's my connection to understanding an apprenticeship, or if you think historically, the 13 or 14-year-old boy went to work with the blacksmith. I'm talking 150 years ago, whatever, right?
Yes, I use that example all the time.
When the guy was like, he made horseshoes, and he would show up like, all right, kid, you're 13 now. You got a little bit of mustache. Go get a job. Go work with someone. And then you're 18, 19, 20, and now you're like, you are that thing because you've done all the work. You've carried the wood, you've stoked the fire, whatever all that is. So give us a frame of reference. Are you speaking apprenticeship in the trades, like I just referred to, or more general than that?
I mean, you hit the nail on the butt. You're that most common conversation, right? Yes. Apprenticeship programs, when I usually ask the question, no one has any idea what they are, or they go to there. I know electricians, plumbers, carpenters, someone in a local. No one used to know that the non-union commercial world also does apprenticeship programs. But what I am actually here today is talk about this. There are only about 60 or 70 apprenticeship programs in construction. There are over 175 different apprenticeship programs offered in New York State alone. And we're talking all industries: automotive, art and design, health and human services, hospitality, manufacturing, IT. And I am constantly working with other businesses to grow manufacturing. I've got companies on Long Island doing a junior accountant apprenticeship program.
Really?
We're coming out with a fitness instructor apprenticeship
Let
program.
me stop you for a second, because that's great, because we certainly didn't have that context. I didn't, and I think others didn't as well. So where does that fall in line with, let's take the one you just said, the accountant, the CP, so maybe somebody on a CPA track, right? So they may or may not be in college. This could be prior to that. Where does this fall in their life cycle as a young person?
Love the questions. Thank you very much. So that's the idea, right? So let's go back. What is an apprenticeship program, right? And that's the thing most people know. Everyone knows what an internship is. No one knows what an apprenticeship program is. Take an apprenticeship program, taking anyone above the age of 18, 25-year-old, 40-year-old, doesn't really matter, hiring them day one, paying them a salary day one to become an employee with the company, and following a structured, detailed, on-the-job training model, not just for 6 months. This is years long, with a guaranteed wage increase. I'll say that again, guaranteed. Earn while you learn. You will earn more money when you learn more things. Oh, and by the way, the employer is going to pay to send you to school. And sometimes those schools are community colleges within the area. So you get a college education paid for by that employer.
Awesome.
Just looking at Tommy's face, it's like, I think I want to apply for one
Yeah,
of these.
I mean, listen, it's funny.
Let me just make the Career Day Inc. connection.
Please.
Because, we know that everybody in Long Island, certain areas think, okay, we have to go to a 4-year school, we have to go to these 24-year schools, and that's great. We love those schools, we love the students who excel and achieve that. And those same students and others can do apprenticeship programs, can think about things that are outside the box. And what I always stress is there are so many jobs on Long Island. We lose our kids to moving to other states, to being where it's more affordable, and they don't realize the opportunities here on Long Island. My son-in-law is an aerospace engineer in Bohemia in Suffolk County, and they're looking for people. They're always looking for people in that field. The air traffic control, the air industry, pilots, and manufacturing. There's so many opportunities here on Long Island that people don't know about, that Michael is a perfect connector for learning about those programs.
So I want to shout this out. Beth, 1 second. I want to shout out Michael's website, ACCCNYS.org, right?
That's correct.
Is the organization a nonprofit organization?
No, actually, it's not. It's for profit.
For profit. ACCNYS.org. That's Michael's. It's Apprenticeship Connections and Consulting Corp. This is awesome. We got to have another interview with you specifically because I got a whole bunch more I want to talk to you about. But that's how you connect with Michael, is go to that website. And Beth, the thing for me, so career is like, it's not just a suit. It's not just a banker. It's not just an attorney. And I think when we talk about, I talk about it on the show often, and sometimes if people know me, it doesn't come as a surprise. But I got a diagnosis with ADHD recently, which is I have a beautiful brain that just operates a little differently, as my coach Joe tells me, and I believe it. And the thing about it, though, is we, as a neurotypical workforce, not everybody falls into. I'm a terrible employee. Like terrible, but I changed the world to make it a better place, right? So I not everybody fits into these molds, and not everybody wants to sit at a desk or at a computer. And Michael, you're talking about all these different opportunities that that people who want to work with their hands, are creative, want to do different things, and again, you said 175 and only 60 are in the trades. So I got to remind myself, we're not just talking about the trades. However, I think that is part of when I think of career day. It's when you see the police officer, when you see the pilot, when you see the air traffic controller, side by side with the attorneys and the other professionals, it gives a diverse opportunity for young people to see things and representation of where they may not have seen themselves, because oftentimes they just look at their parents and what their parents are doing, and that's kind of maybe what they did, or an uncle or something like that. Like I had a friend back in the day, and she always wanted to be an accountant from when we were like 14 years old. And I was like, why? She said, because my uncle's a CPA. I said, all right, cool. But if
that's why it's Career Day Inc., Tom.
Yeah.
Because when you think about Career Day, it's very limited. It's going around the cafeteria. It's not having these intense meetings with professionals like Michael, like all the other people, 50 people who are here today. 50
professionals that are investing their time, and then that because they know it helps other people out and improves what these young people are getting exposed to. Beth, shout out the website, and how do people get in touch with Career Day Inc.? Because I might not see you again on here.
So the website is careerdayinc.org. My email is beth@careerdayinc.org. We would love to have more people volunteer to speak to the students. We would love to have more sponsorship and more schools. That's all we need.
That's it. So we just need more opportunities, more speakers, couple more bucks, and we should work this whole thing out. We'll fix it all. Michael, it's a pleasure to meet you. We're going to do another show together. We'll do something together. I'm a local guy. I take it you're a local guy. We will connect. Beth, you're putting me on a relay, man. So at this point, we are going to go to a break, and you're not going to be here when we come back. I'm going to have a new guest, right? That's the way we planned it out.
Stacey Nigro.
Michael, I appreciate you. Thanks for being here. Beth, I appreciate everything you're doing. We'll be right back. This is Philanthropy in Focus. We're going to be surprised. Somebody new is going to be here. I'll be here with somebody new. All right, right back.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Mira Brancu, host of The Hard Skills on talkradio.nyc at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to The Hard Skills on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a business owner? Do you want to be a business owner? Do you work with business owners? Hi, I'm Stephen Fry, your small and medium-sized business or SMB guy, and I'm the host of the new show, Always Friday. While I love to have fun on my show, we take those Friday feelings of freedom and clarity to discuss popular topics on the minds of SMBs today. Please join me and my various special guests on Friday at 11 a.m. on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC. Uplift, educate, empower.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
Woof. Join me in the attic today, man. But I feel like I'm running a race, man. This is going to be fun. We got a new guest on the show. This is just going to be, I could do this show for hours and hours. If every 12 minutes somebody new shows up, that is perfect for my brain. My next guest is Stacy Nigro. I hope I got that pronunciation right. Is that right, Stacy?
Good, thank you.
Good morning. You're calling me in, or you're zooming in from Roslyn High School for Career Day Inc.'s event this morning. I hope you're well. Have you spoken in front of the kids yet, or is that coming up soon?
Thank you. I did just do my first session.
Okay. Has this been the first time you've done something with Career Day Inc.?
This is my first time with Career Day Inc.
So tell me what drew you to do this today, and then we'll talk about your business, your practice, the whole thing. But what was it that kind of pulled you in today?
So my daughter did it with Beth at another school, and she told me all about it and introduced me. And I just think that it's really hard for kids these days to know what to do. The world is so different. And I am so happy to be here to be able to speak to them, tell them my journey, which was certainly not an easy one, and to be able to tell them that it doesn't matter if you know or you don't know, but you can do whatever you want to do. And there's time to learn about that and figure that all out.
Wow. Thank you for that, because it's so important. So at Career Day Inc., in the name, it's like, well, we're going to get exposed to different careers and different opportunities and maybe different paths to go down. And what you just said was, it's also about mindset, right? It's not about just like, you don't have to know, like, we don't have to know these things. And to have an adult say that to these young people as they're at this point in their life, trying to figure stuff out, and like maybe they're being told that they should know, certainly at a certain age, well, where are you going to go to college? What are you going to study at college? I'm freaking 16 and a half. I'm 17 years old, man. I don't know what I'm going to be doing. I mean, I'm 45 and I'm still like, in the last segment, we're talking about apprenticeships, and Beth like made a comment about it, my facial expressions. I'm like, oh, maybe I could do an apprenticeship, is what was going on inside of my head, because that's it. We're ever growing. And, we don't always have the answers, so I think tell me about your path. I understand you're an attorney with Stone, Student, Young, and Nigro, but that's all I know. So tell us the story.
Okay, so I'm a second career professional. I did not know that I wanted to be a lawyer when I was the age of these students, or even when I graduated college. I was in the not-for-profit industry doing social work, working in the courts, helping people that had addictions and criminal issues and things like that. And I was a bail bondsman doing mediation after that. But after I had my daughter and it was time to go back to work, I didn't know if just doing mediation was enough. I knew I wanted to help people. I knew I liked to argue, but I wanted to do something that felt good. And so I said, I think I'm going to go to law school. I loved being in the courts. And my family said, don't go to law school. What are you, crazy? Don't go to law school. My mother said, it's too hard. It's just why are you picking such a hard path? I was a single mom. My daughter was 2.
Do you mind if I ask how old you were when you made that decision to go back to law school?
32 years old.
See, so I love that. And not to say, about numbers, but there was like, you had done some things. You had career behind you.
Had a career.
Because you talk about, you like to argue. I'm not so bad at it either. I enjoy it myself sometimes. But I think about it, and which is, I think my old man used to tell me, he loves when I call him my old man, my dad, by the way. He used to say, you should be an attorney. You should definitely be an attorney, because you always got to have the last word. You always have to have the last word. And
right.
I always thought about being an attorney, except I didn't really want to go to law school. So I didn't. And that's why I'm not an attorney. It's one of the reasons I think I'm not an attorney. But I think I was immature at certain points in my life. Like even now to this day, I go, hey, man, I might go to law school. Like I think of that. And there's no reason, right? Not at 32, at 52, at 62. I mean, you can do this at any point in your life, right?
I was in school with students, my peers that I became lifelong friends with, that were on their 3rd and 4th career. One woman was in her 60s. So I had a long career in mediation. So being able to articulate and argue and put a position across and having passion are all great qualities for a lawyer. But I had a history and a career of mediating.
Yeah.
So I wanted to help people not spend 6 years fighting over something in court, but help them either whichever side they're on, but also help them work on resolving their own issues so that it's more likely to be enforced. It's more likely to produce a better result. And those clients come back to me. I don't want every one of my clients to spend all these years and all this money in court. Sometimes you have to, but sometimes you don't. So I worked for 12 years at one of the largest law firms on Long Island, became a partner, moved to a little bit of a mid-size.
Oh, you were Sir Tillman. I'm looking on LinkedIn. You were. I'm very good friends with Doug Rowe and David Goldstein, so we know a lot of the folks at Sir Tillman. So
I
once you
spent
said
my
that,
first 12 years there.
once you said it, I had to look at LinkedIn real quick and say, where was she? Which firm? So we know a lot of folks at Sir Tillman Valley for
Yeah,
sure.
great lawyers. And then I opened this firm 2 years ago with some friends, believe it or not, all women. And we are practicing, my partners practice family law, matrimonial. And I am a commercial litigator and a corporate lawyer, and I do real estate. I do represent commercial landlords. I handle clients that are involved in business disputes and non-compete disputes. And it's just a really rewarding career.
So thank you for all that. And I love the fact this is kind of your second act, so to speak. And might not be your final, right? Might not be your final act, because like life is so cool and there's so many opportunities. I mean, if we just, we can attract, not to get like, metaphysical on everybody, but we can just attract different things by connecting with different people. Michael Tedesco is just here with Beth. I never met Michael in my life. I think of 15 different opportunities that I can connect him with.
Right.
I know now, knowing what you do, I think of CPAs and other types of attorneys that I could probably connect you to once we get to know each other. So I think that's what's important. So I want to, any cool questions from the young people that you spoke to in your first session this morning that like really, again, you just did it. I know that. So it's just like, okay, the game's over. You won. What happened? Like what kind of stuck out for you, if you don't mind?
So believe it or not, I was impressed by the knowledge of these students. So I did a little game with them. I told them a little bit about my journey and how I got here, and you don't have to know and all that. And then I talked about some really, really bizarre lawsuits over the years. The McDonald's hot coffee, the Subway footlong isn't 12 inches, and the Junior Mints didn't have enough in it, and there was a lawsuit for that, and there was a lawsuit because Red Bull didn't give us wings. I was surprised that the students knew.
Hold on. Somebody sued Red Bull because they didn't get wings?
Yes, that was a lawsuit.
Oh my God, you gotta love this planet, man. You gotta love this planet. People are so creative.
These kids knew. They knew which ones were real, and they knew. I asked them questions about signing contracts and jury duty, and they a lot of them had knowledge and they were interested, and I was impressed by that.
That's awesome. That's so cool. So, did you go to law school on the island here?
I did. I went to Toro Law School. I took the part-time day program. There were very few of us.
Yeah.
It was the only school on Long Island, and it was all my classes between 10 and 2, so I could take my daughter to school, go to school, and be there for a 3 o'clock pickup.
I have a friend who went there. I haven't talked to him in a little while. A good friend of my brother's, Chris Delisle, went out there, and he owns a title settlement company and out in Smithtown. So I know Chris, and he had gone to school at night at Toro while he was in construction during the day. So gang, figure it out. You wanted to make sure you were in school during the day so you could take care of your daughter. You can do this, everybody. Just do
I worked a lot of jobs. I worked full-time jobs. I had a lot of help with babysitting, but I did the extracurricular activities. And when she went to bed, after we highlighted our coloring books, while I'm highlighting my law school books, I put the pot of coffee on at 9 o'clock at night, and I start studying.
Yeah, and you did it, and you made it happen. That is so incredible. Looking back, greatest decision you made, one of the most important, like, game-changing decisions in your life. What do you think?
So I think it was. Could I have chosen an easier path? Yes. Would my life maybe have been less stressed and a little easier over the years? Probably. But the reward for me was that I didn't have a lot of money as a single parent, and I had a daughter to raise. And I think the fact that she learned that I could do it means she could do it. So she's running her own business. She's successful. She's strong and independent. And I think that was the greatest reward out of this whole second act for me.
She saw that. She watched that from being a baby. What kind of business is she in?
She's an online health and fitness coach.
Cool. Awesome.
And she studied exercise science in college, and she's just, living her best life and really helping a lot of people, and couldn't be more proud.
I love that. I love it. All right. So, and you said that she spoke at a Career Day Inc. event, and then she put you on. See, that's what I call it.
Day too. She's in another room.
Oh, she is? Oh, that's so funny. So I call that the ripple effect. I didn't make it up, gang, but it's a real thing. I think it's infinite. I think it goes on forever because once one person tells another person and so on and so on and so on. So I think it's important to note that we can keep making the world a better place by working together and challenging each other. What can we do to help you in your business? Are there certain professionals you look to connect with, like different, what I call strategic partners, strategic alliances, that sort of thing?
So I do, and thank you. I spend a lot of time networking. I also like to help my colleagues in their businesses. So I connect with accountants, I connect with financial advisors, property managers, owners of retail, commercial banks for, loans in default and things like that. So all of that type of introduction and networking is really important. And if I can't get something for somebody else or it's something I don't do, I like to be able to make that introduction as well.
Yep. I love it. I'm known for some of that stuff. What is the company? What's the company website for Stone, Student, Young, and Nigro? And am I saying student right? Is that right?
You are. It's Stone, Student, Young, and Nigro Law Group. Yep. And I believe it's ssynlaw.com.
Where to find out?
We are, right?
Where to find out, because I'm going to Google
That would be really bad, wouldn't it be, if I didn't know that?
You got it. ssynlaw.com. ssynlaw.com. Family law, commercial. Obviously, you said you talk mediation, which is, just I don't know, man. When I hear mediation, I'm like, oh man, that sounds so much better. And I don't know if it's just because it sounds like meditation to me, or if I do want. But, mediation, whether it be on the family law side, certainly if we could get together and be amicable in these situations, even if we're dissolving a relationship, right? Wow. Certainly if there's children involved, but even in a business setting, man, if we could just like unwind and go, okay, this didn't work. And let's, whatever the situation is, I'm making it basic into like a dissolution of a company or whatever. But gosh, if we could just find a way where it doesn't suck at the end, like if it's win-win.
And sometimes when you start a mediation too early, it may not be the right time. It doesn't mean you can't do it later. But anytime somebody plays a role in the resolution of their dispute or their lawsuit, they're more likely to follow it. That relieves the stress, and everybody can move on. And listen, you'd rather pay, put money towards your family or back into your business than pay your lawyers. But there are times when you absolutely need the lawyers.
100%.
The deal falls apart.
100%. You need that. But again, you're giving advice in that mediation proceeding as well, right? So they have an advisor in their corner. It just means they're not getting dragged through a courtroom and the whole thing and litigation.
The system is just too overloaded. It's just not what it used to be. And, it's a justice system, but it doesn't mean it's always a just process.
Wow. All right. So anything you want to leave? Because we got to take a quick break. And as I understand, I'm getting another guest in a second. So this is like all the dopamine is firing today inside of my head. So anything you want to leave everybody with?
Just that I'm happy and thankful to be here today. And that if you have an opportunity to engage in any kind of charitable work or education, you don't have to get paid for these services. You're giving back to the community. So I thank everybody for listening, and pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you. You just said it. No big deal. Just changing the world, right? That's what I heard you say in different words. Yeah. I appreciate you. We'll look forward to a cup of coffee. I like coffee. I hope you do. If not, I'll drink 2 cups and you could just sit next to me while I do it. I'll
join you. I'll be there.
Have an awesome day. Thank you for being here. We're going to go to a quick break. Philanthropy and Focus on location. Career Day Inc. Captain Adam O'Reilly will be with us here right next. Right back, everybody. Thanks, Stacey. Bye now.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host the program Philanthropy and Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
What really drives success in business? Introducing Intangify, the show that explores the intangible assets that create value and growth. I'm Matthew Asbell, your host and an attorney focused on innovation. Join me Fridays at noon Eastern to discover how innovation, culture, and other intangibles shape thriving companies from startups to established businesses. We'll share strategies to unleash your business's true potential. Tune in live on talkradio.nyc Fridays at noon Eastern and Intangify your business today.
In a post-COVID world, you may have many unanswered questions regarding your health. Are you looking to live a healthier lifestyle? Do you have a desire to learn more about mental health and enhance your quality of life? Or do you just want to participate in self-understanding and awareness? I'm Frank R. Harrison, host of Frank About Health, and each Thursday, I will tackle these questions and work to enlighten you. Tune in every Thursday at 5 p.m. on talkradio.nyc, and I will be frank about health to advocate for all of us.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
And we are back. I feel like I'm running a marathon. I feel like, it's just a lot of guests. I might have just totally changed Philanthropy and Focus into a bunch of little sprints put together. Not an hour long, but everybody gets 10 minutes with Tommy D, and we just got to talk really fast. Captain O'Reilly, I'm Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector. Welcome to Philanthropy and Focus, sir. How are you?
Great. Thanks for having me.
I'm fired up, man. I really appreciate it. I pulled up your LinkedIn, and there's like this giant, I don't even know if you call it a helicopter. What is that I'm looking at? If you know what I'm that picture.
That's the pride of the Army right there. That's the CH-47 Chinook. Been in service since the 60s.
Isn't that's the one they put tanks on that machine as well, or what? Like what's the story?
If it fits, it ships. That thing it'll do what you ask.
That is a beast, man. That is pretty awesome. Where are you from? What drew you to we always said, look, I want to serve. I want to be in the military. I want to be in the Army. What's that story?
Absolutely. So I grew up on the South Shore of Massachusetts in Plymouth. My family, there's a bit of service history there. My stepfather was in the Coast Guard, and two of my step siblings served Air Force and the National Guard. But I really wanted to do something that was bigger than myself. I was kind of reaching for something that, would make me proud of what I've given back to my country. And, I honed in on being a helicopter pilot. So I went to University of Miami on an ROTC scholarship. And after I graduated, I went straight to flight school.
Awesome. So do you fly that big machine that we were just talking about?
I'm actually transitioning out of the Army after 9 years in about 30 days.
Wow.
But yeah, I flew that for about 8 years.
That's awesome. Shout out to all of our servicemen and women. Shout out to all of our veterans. Obviously, we appreciate all your efforts, everything you do. I had the opportunity to hang out with my cousin, John Nash, a couple of weeks ago, who's in the Coast Guard. And it's funny when you think of the younger family members you have, and those people, they're kids. This is not a kid. This is a 35-year-old man who's been in the Coast Guard now for like the last 12 years. He's a man, but he's like,
right.
But you know what I mean? So it's funny to just say and to hear about his accomplishments and the really cool stuff that he's done. And again, really the cool situation of protecting and serving, and that's so critically important. So what drew you to connect with Career Day Inc? Have you done this already? Is this your first one? I'm on the board of the organization, so I'm always excited to meet the speakers, but I'm not there on site today. I'm actually home in my attic, as maybe you know. But so like, what have you spoken with Career Day Inc already? Is this your first time? What drew you to this today?
So we've been with Career Day for about a year now, and Beth reached out to us, and we said, yeah, of course, we'd love to come down and talk to students. I think it's very important for young people to speak to as many people from as many different industries as possible, so they have an education.
Sure.
Right now I'm running a recruiting company in Nassau County, so any recruiting station that's Army in Nassau County, those are my guys.
Got it.
But we're not here to recruit; we're here to educate. Flatten communication and understanding between what service has to provide, the realities of it, how it can elevate your career, the certifications you can get, the experience, the education. So that's really it. And if students see that as a fit for what they want to do with their life and it can help them out, all right, let's help you build that plan. But, we're not here to sign people up at all. It's just we're here to educate. That's my focus. Because looking back on how I joined the military, I didn't have a mentor. I wanted to do it, but I had to figure it out on my own. But I wish I had a mentor, someone like me to come down and say, hey, this is what you should think about. So That's why we're here.
Yeah, so it's not like in the old sitcom where the guy walked by the station, and then next thing they're showing up at his house and like, come on, you signed up yesterday, man. You're with us now. And it's like I'm making a bit of a humor out of the thing, but like that
No,
was
it's
like
not like that at all. No.
it's not like that, right? Yeah. So I think, like I was saying with some of the other guests just now, and like I've said about Career Day Inc. Whenever I'm talking about it, is to me it's about exposure, representation, and getting young people to think, not only young people but young people in this scenario to think about what they could do, how they can make an impact, and what when we just had Stacey Nigro right before you sat down with me, and we were talking about it, that this is her as an attorney, her second career, her second act, and you just mentioned you're 30 days from. Are you retiring, or what is the right term? I don't want to say the wrong word there.
So I'm doing what you call ETS. I'm at 9 years of service, so I did not hit the retirement gate.
Okay.
But I've had my fun and I'm satisfied, and it's time to be a dad and be home.
Right. Awesome.
So moving on to the next career, which I'm very much looking forward to.
You has that been? You know what that is already? I assume you have a plan, a strategy. Is that something you can share with us, or not yet?
Absolutely. So I'll be moving on to work for a defense contractor that makes a lot of parts for the helicopters I flew, and then oxygen systems on the fighter jets and things like that.
Yeah.
So there is some ties to what I used to do, which I think is very good for me personally, but I'm very much looking forward to it.
That's exciting. Are you here on Long Island?
I am. Yep, I'm out in Suffolk County, so I'll be working in Ronkonkoma.
Okay, very cool, very cool. Well, I asked Stacey before, and I'm curious because obviously it's different young people that each of you are speaking to, but what were some of the questions that you got, and what did it sort of make you either reflect on in your career of 9 years? Like I'm curious because I just want to be in the room, man. I just want to hear things. I want to hear people ask these questions. So take us to when you've spoken. Did you do a session yet today or not yet?
Yep, we're on our second session, and outside of Career Day, I go to a lot of high schools just to give presentations on different things.
Right.
I love the questions because you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
But the kids are generally very interested. So today we had questions about, well, what if I go to college and then I want to join afterwards? How do I become an officer? Can I still enlist? They wanted to know if they joined, can they still get their college degree? Things like that. And then there's a lot of questions specifically about our jobs, right? So our staff sergeant, who was presenting as a signal support specialist, so they wanted to know what that meant. We talked about coding and working on radios and things like that. So I really enjoy it because you break down the barriers. They get to see we're just people.
Yeah.
Like everybody else, we just wear something different.
Yep.
And we have jobs and specialties and passions. We got some questions about what's it like being in. Do you have any free time? Like, yes, of course. I go home every night. We have weekends, vacations, we travel. Families. It's not like what you see in the movies.
It made me just what you were talking about many years ago, and I just pulled up his photo. I had met a man named Justin Constantine. I don't know if you'd ever met Justin Constantine, but he was he passed away a couple of years ago, and he was injured in the line of duty many years ago, and he became a motivational speaker, and I had met him through the Society of Human Resource Managers in New York City, and he had written a book, and it was about how HR departments could really engage with veterans, people who've now left the service, and what stood out, aside from what I learned from Justin, specific to hiring veterans, connecting with veterans, getting veterans into business, different things like that, right? And how that many of the skills that they learned while they were serving are obviously very applicable in civilian life, for lack of a better way of saying it. And the thing about it that really stuck out for me, and I got to tell you, I didn't know this, and I was totally naive or ignorant to the fact that the majority of people who serve are not in a combat zone, are not in there. There's so many different things, and I think that would be for a young person to say, there's mechanics, there's people who that big machine, that big chopper that you flew around, there's people who have to work on that and service that, and there's people in medical, and there's people in food service, right? All these different people that serve. Can you speak to that, how that could be relevant to young people who might want to serve their country in different ways?
That's one of the biggest things that we try to communicate, is that there are 175 jobs in the Army. 175.
Right.
And there are 7 combat jobs.
Wow.
So if you think about that, all the other jobs are there to support, the warfighter, the combat jobs. And
Right.
even within that 7, the ground force, that's the infantry guys, that's one job.
Right.
So, my job as a helicopter pilot was to support the ground force. The medical officers and medical specialists, their job is to support everyone else. There's
Right.
logistics, there's dog handlers, military police.
Okay.
There's a lot out there. And not a lot of people deploy. And that's an important thing to remember, especially these days, now that the Middle East has settled down quite a bit. That's a thing we want to communicate, is that there is such a wide array of jobs that you get to pick before you sign up. And that's something that's not understood, and it's one of the things we talk about quite a bit, is to kind of level the communication there.
Yeah, I love that, because again, think about that, young people and other people who have young people in their family that might want to be involved. There's opportunities to serve your country, and you said 7 jobs that are in. I don't know the term used. I don't know if you said 7 in combat, but you said only one is infantry, right? Mm-hmm. People on the ground. So 1 out of 175, or 7 out of 175. The far majority of people are not in that sort of combat situation. So much support. However, they're all part of the same mission, right?
Correct.
Supporting each other, right?
Right. So, those other 175 jobs, obviously there's a chance that they go and they do deploy to a combat theater, but they're there to support. So,
right, to support. Right.
Yeah, that's something important to understand, is that, the helicopters don't go without the mechanics, and they don't go without the fuelers. They don't go without the air traffic control specialists and the mission planners and our military intelligence guys. So they are there, but typically designated combat roles, there's only 7. So everything else is there to support.
I love it, man. I think it's great. I wish you all the success in your new venture. I don't know if you can say, will you be down in DC a lot, or are you gonna really be working locally? If you could talk about that.
Sure, I'll be in Ronkonkoma is where I'll be working. I'm out in Suffolk County now, so that's where I'll be, and I'll be traveling around a bit to trade shows and whatnot, but I'll be a local guy in the community. I'll be Mr. O'Reilly at that point, but I will forever and always be available to help mentor those who are thinking of this path.
Well, I can still for now, I can call you Captain O'Reilly. And then next time I see you, I'll call you Adam. All right.
That'll work.
It's funny, because my mother always said, if I meet a medical doctor or another doctor, and I don't refer to them as Dr. O'Reilly or Dr. Buckheister, and she'll say, that man or that woman is a doctor, Thomas. Call them a doctor. So for now, I'll call you Captain. If you tell me to call you Adam, I'll call you Adam. I appreciate what you've done. I appreciate it, specifically what you're doing for these young people, because I talked about it in the last segment. The conversations that we have with these young people are going to ever change or ever influence their opportunities in life, their decisions in life, and where they're going to go next. And, of course, we appreciate your service that you've done for the Army, and what I appreciate the service that you're paying forward right now for these young people as well. So I look forward to meeting you in person at some point soon. Thanks for coming on the show, and all the best in your future endeavors.
And thank you so much, Tommy. And thanks for giving me the opportunity to steward some mentorship for the next generation.
I appreciate it, man. All right, everybody, we'll be right back for the final segment of the show. Thanks so much. See you later.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Mira Brancu, host of The Hard Skills on talkradio.nyc at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to The Hard Skills on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host the program Philanthropy and Phocus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc. Are you a business owner? Do you want to be a business owner? Do you work with business owners? Hi, I'm Stephen Fry, your small and medium-sized business or SMB guy, and I'm the host of the new show, Always Friday. While I love to have fun on my show, we take those Friday feelings of freedom and clarity to discuss popular topics on the minds of SMBs today. Please join me and my various special guests on Friday at 11 a.m. on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
We are back. So today's kind of a different take on the show, different take on Philanthropy and Focus. It's an opportunity where I am interviewing multiple people throughout the show. And I'm going to share with you all right now the website for Career Day Inc. So you can check it out, whichever platform. We're streaming all over the place. My buddy Logan behind the glass was telling me we're streaming on all the different platforms, Twitch, YouTube, certainly LinkedIn, Facebook. This is Career Day Inc. That's my friend Beth Buckheiser there in the in the photo on top, wherever you're watching. So go to careerdayinc.org, check out the organization, learn about the great work we're doing. I mean, what an opportunity I've had today to interview multiple speakers. Captain O'Reilly, who it told me to call him Adam, Stephanie Nigro, who is in her second act, and that was super exciting. And then Michael Tedisco and my friend Beth Buckheiser, who actually, it looks like Beth is back in the Zoom room with us. And I have to change the name because I put Captain Adam O'Reilly underneath that. So I have to change it back to Beth's name. Beth, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Tom, I'm waiting for Scott Andrews, the principal, to show up. He is walking in, I think, momentarily.
Awesome.
I'm really glad that you got to see three such diverse people. Stacey Nigro is really inspirational in how she works with women in law. And Michael Tedisco, amazing apprenticeship connections. He can never say no to me that he doesn't have time to come to a Career Day Inc. program anymore. And Captain O'Reilly, who actually, I don't know if he told you, is leaving the service.
Told us, yeah.
And we're making connections for him with some, people who he might want to work with.
I love it.
My son-in-law.
Including your son-in-law. Look at that. That's called, I don't know, man. If I knew anything about networking, that might be called connecting. I don't know, but I know a little bit about that stuff. I see you waving somebody over.
Scott Andrews.
You got us another guest? Oh my goodness.
If you don't speak to the principal, like you weren't here.
Let me tell you something. I went to Chaminade, okay? I did the best I could, Mr. Andrews, to stay away from the dean's office, stay away from the principal's office, and that was kind of it for me.
Well, I'm the complete opposite. I'm a psychologist, so I don't have I'm not a big disciplinarian. Kids make mistakes, just make sure they don't make the same mistakes over and over again.
I think all principals should be psychologists.
Oh, the best background for it.
I could have called you at 7:30 this morning. I could have used that advice at 7:30 this morning when I was trying to get 4 kids out of the house to school, my friend.
4 kids.
Half of our senior parents let their kids stay home today. So.
Oh, is that right? What is what's a bulldog?
Yeah, bulldog. Yeah.
The Roslyn High School Bulldogs. Is the whole community Bulldogs?
Yeah. Well, the high school itself. So that's
because where I hail from, everything is a Viking over here where I am. So I'll just leave it out
where
there.
Are you? Cold Spring?
North Shore.
North Shore.
Yeah, North Shore.
And where I hail from, everything is Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah,
I grew up in Seaford, so I was a Viking too.
Oh, you were? So there must have been a lot. I don't know where they all came from. There must have been a ton of Vikings on this island at some point. You know? It must have been. They
raided everybody.
Those are. Anytime I see Vikings, they're always big dudes with like long hair and stuff like that. Yeah. You know. So I'm glad you're here, and Beth, if you're going to stay with us, we'd love to have you. I don't know if you have to be somewhere else, do your thing. So
no, I'm good. I'm here with you.
Okay, cool. So Scott Andrews, principal of Roslyn High School, correct?
Correct.
So
tell me 13
years. So tell me, what does Career Day Inc. mean from your perspective? Because I've talked to some of the speakers today. I actually am on the board of directors for the organization. We were at West Hempstead High School a couple months back, and I had the opportunity to talk to both the principal and the assistant principal, but not in this forum. It was more just kind of us chatting. Nobody was watching. We weren't recording. So I want to know from your perspective, and certainly from the other educators and maybe counselors in the building, what this means for the young people.
Yeah, well, my perspective is a little different because I started out as a counselor, high school counselor in a high school in Jericho. Then went back and got my doctorate in psychology. So I come from a different place. I'm not sitting in a classroom teaching 5 classes of content, all day long. So I like to open it up so that kids do have different opportunities, because the teachers really, they're just concentrate on their content. They want the kids to do well in the AP exams, whatever it may be. But there's a lot more out there that the kids really need to see. So I think we're going to get a lot of good feedback from the students. It's unfortunate that some kids didn't come, but
I just met
can't
somebody.
Control that.
I just met somebody in the hallway about the kids being absent, and she said, from the interaction I've seen from the students and the teachers, those kids are going to say to their friends who didn't come, "You missed it, man.
Definitely.
You missed it."
Happens all the time.
Yeah. You know what? Listen, I think, isn't that what life really boils down to at the end? It's there's an opportunity in front of you. What are you going to do with that opportunity, right? Like, you're going to lean in, you're going to take the opportunity, right? Or not. And that's the game changing. I can't believe I'm going to quote this from that movie, Wall Street. But, life comes down to a number of moments, like when Bud Fox is waiting to go into Gecko's office, and, and this could be one of them. But, like, if you go back as an adult and we look back and where we made a transition or made a change, those were critical points. And some of these young people that are in your building right now are going to be impacted, and people who weren't there are not going to have that same opportunity. I mean, that's just life, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's, I think, what Mr. Andrews saw when he came to visit us at another school, and people who were here observing as well. When you think about Ari's life, and not to get melancholy, but I can't help it. I don't advertise this a lot, but his parents were Holocaust survivors. He lived in Israel until 1967. They were planning on moving anyway, but lived during the 6-Day War. Then came here to Rhode Island, not knowing any English, and never seeing ice, no less skating, became captain of his ice hockey team where they won the state championship, went to Boston University, went to Brandeis, got a PhD in chemistry, and then came to Long Island and said, you know what, I can't work for somebody. I need to make my own destiny, and I need to be successful on my own. Yeah. And, other people, unfortunately, stopped that in his tracks, but he really did do something that enabled us to have this program.
Yeah, I mean, I said it in the first segment earlier this morning, Beth, and out of this tragedy comes this legacy, and I want to say that as an outsider looking at it, if I can, and it's just, to me, it's the inspiration and all the impact and all that you've done with your girls as well, and other supporters and volunteers, is an incredible legacy, and these young people are better off because of this exposure point. I'll just say that, no reaction needed. That's just what I can witness. What do we say, have you had, again, it's early in the day. This is something I'd love to talk later on. Principal Andrew, Scott, if you're Scott, Scott, early reactions from some of the young people, or even some of the staff. Have what if some of the, like, hey, anecdotally, you're not going to believe what I just learned from Captain O'Reilly or Stacy Nigro, something, the stuff you've heard already?
Yeah, well, there's one gentleman, Mike Tedesco, that he works with us, helping out kids to look into apprenticeships.
Yeah.
Because that's something big now, and there's a lot of apprenticeships now with IBMs and big companies. It's not just, plumbing and electrician, you can do very well, but there are other types of apprenticeships for kids who maybe don't have the money to go to college right away, and then the apprenticeship will actually pay you to go to school at the same time.
Yeah.
So that was something interesting that a lot of the kids are taking advantage of here today as well.
Yeah.
Teachers are in the classrooms, because we keep a teacher in every classroom.
Yeah.
And they're intrigued. I think it's great for them too, because guess what? They come in, they teach their 5 classes every day, their content throughout the entire year, and they try to mix it up, obviously, at times, just to make it more interesting for the kids. But it's good for them to also see this and then have conversations with the kids about careers and things like that. They can talk about themselves, they can talk about what their kids might do, or their wife, or whatever it is.
Right.
It gives them a different opportunity to have a different conversation with kids.
I think that's
I was in a chemistry classroom, chemistry teacher, and Dr. Ian Moore, who's a microbiology biochemist, and came in, and he was speaking to the students, and the teacher was like, oh, I'm so glad that he's here, because it puts practical. And what's interesting that he talked about was, pandemic started, his lab shut down. What are we going to do now? We can't work from home. That's not how science works. And they were invited in to do COVID research. And so talk about, the pivoting word kind of maybe got overused, but talking about trying to make a difference when you can, where you can. And he was so proud of it, and he thought that he would be, guess what? A rock star. He had to fight with his parents that he wasn't going to go to college because he wanted to be a drummer in a rock and roll band.
Does he still play the drums? That would be my question. We'll have to ask him.
He absolutely does. He just showed us that he played at some conference. And
that's what I'm talking about. See, gang, you can be well-rounded. You're not defined by the thing you do. You can have so many other cool things.
Your GPA.
Right? Or your GPA. Right on. Listen, I used to go around saying, oh, I'm a salesman. That's what I do. I'm a salesman. No, man. Yes, I do that. We own an employee benefits agency, but I do so many other cool things. And that's not to brag on me. My point is, be the Renaissance man and or woman and or kid, person, human being. Just try some stuff out. And guess what? It's probably not going to go the way you expected anyway. So you just have to try something else after that. So have fun with it. I tell you, coming into this morning, I knew I had an opportunity that Beth was presenting me with. I didn't know how it was going to work out. It has worked out swimmingly. It's awesome. This has been a great experience this morning, having multiple guests throughout the day. My friend Logan, who's on the other side of the glass doing the production work, is like, you hanging in there, Tommy D? How you doing? Are you all right? And it is like a bit of a marathon, and I love it. I just want to say I didn't know how it was going to work out, if it was going to go great today, and it did. So that's what you have to do in life. You got to try it. One other quick point I want to make, Scott, while you're with us, is saying, like, you know, I was dealing with something this morning with a young person who lives in my house, and she was talking about her math, my daughter, and she was talking about the math and whatever. And you know how she didn't say this, but there's always that thing we'll go, I'm never going to use this, man. I'm never going to use this. I think what's cool about having these professionals in your classrooms with the teacher is to take that practical and you go, you know how you guys think you're never going to use this? Well, here's this person, fill in the blanks, who does this thing. And when you grow up, if you want to do that, you are going to use this stuff. You know, I got it. We're running out of time, so I want to leave it. Scott Andrews, one last point. If you have anything you want to leave us with, and then Beth, and then we got to go.
Sure. Yeah, I think the best part is, again, is the kids actually get to see a human being tell them their story, because everybody gets someplace in a different way. It can take 5 years, it can take 10 years, whatever it is. But you don't have to get one thing. You think you're going to get one job and just stay with it your entire life. Be open to different things. And this gives the kids a good example of that, because everybody's pretty much telling their story, how they got to where they are now.
There's
it might change.
And it might change. There's a book called The Obstacle is the Way, gang. Check it out. Beth, leave us with something before we go.
Tommy, we are indebted to you. We're indebted to Roslyn High School. And I was telling someone today, the principal doesn't always take the lead on this, but in this case, the principal jumped in with both feet, and we really appreciate that. And I'm proud of Career Day. Please, you know, come suggest schools, come as a professional. Anybody who's listening, if you know people who want to sponsor, that's the way we can grow. And Tommy, the professional networker, that's who you are. And we'll see you at lunch, Tom.
I'll see you at lunch. Everybody make it a great day. Beth, thank you. Thanks for bringing all my guests. Scott Andrews, thanks for bringing you. Logan, thanks for the work you do. Make it a great day, everybody. That is the end of the show. See you next Friday morning. Bye-bye.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.